Hey guys, it's Christine, also known as Ivy Winter. Thank you for joining me for another Disney video. If you've stayed on property at Disney before, or you've recently booked a trip, you might notice that there's something being offered to you called Resort Airline Check-In. And I'm here to explain what that is, how you use it, and if you really should. Disney's Resort Airline Check-In is a complimentary service, so first and foremost, you don't have to pay for it. Woo! Free stuff! It's available at all on-site Disney-owned hotels, so any actual Disney hotel will have this service, but it is only available for people who are flying on partnered airlines. Those airlines are Alaska Airlines, JetBlue Airways, American Airlines, United Airlines, Southwest Airlines, and Delta Airlines. For Delta, they only offer it on domestic flights, not international. Seems that that's the only caveat. So the other airlines should also offer this on international flights. So if you're flying one of these airlines, then sweet, you can take advantage. The service itself allows you to check into your flight, get your boarding pass, and even check in your checked-in luggage before even getting to the airport. You do this by heading to the airline check-in desk at your resort. It is usually located either in the lobby or just outside of the lobby outside, depending on which resort you are at. The desk is only open though from 4 a.m. to noon, so if you're going to utilize this service, you have to get there early. Even if your flight is until 9 p.m. that same day, you're gonna wanna get to the desk early. It makes sense anyway, because if you still wanna take advantage of that day and go to the parks if you have time, you're gonna wanna handle all of this beforehand anyway. You have to check in within 12 to 3 hours before your flight. So if it is 13 hours before your flight, they're not gonna let you check in, and if it's 1 hour before your flight, then what the heck are you still doing at your resort? You might want to book it to Orlando International anyway. Bring all of your luggage with you, especially the luggage that you might need to check in at the airport, and remember to tip, because this is similar service to curbside pickup at the airport, and I believe these cast members are allowed to accept tips. You should also bring your carry-on luggage too, because that's in the same area of the resort where they can hold that for you. So if you do have a later flight, you can check in luggage, you can hand them your carry-on, which you will come back and pick up before you get on Magical Express or take your cab. You can go on about your day. Once you check in at that desk, they are then going to print out and hand you a boarding pass, which you can just bring to security at the airport. A couple things I've personally noticed: I've never used this actual service and walked up to the desk, and yet I have had boarding passes slipped under my hotel door in the morning. I always fly JetBlue, so they're one of the partnered airlines, but I've never actually finished the process of checking in, even though they tell me to, and I've gone right to the airport and used the boarding pass. I'm not saying everyone should do that, but it's worked for me without having to go through the whole process of checking in at the resort. There also seems to be reports of people who have some issues with their boarding pass. One is if you have a hyphenated name, for some reason that's caused issues. And two is if you're flying a flight where you don't have an assigned seat, apparently you can't use that boarding pass. So you might want to check in at the airport instead. That might be a point where you're going to be assigned a seat, so you can't just walk through security without getting that sorted out first. Bear in mind, you don't need to use Magical Express to use this service, so if you skip Magical Express altogether, you can still do this Resort Airline Check-In. If you're flying an airline that's going to require payment for a checked-in bag, you can actually make that payment at the Disney Resort. You don't have to do it when you get to the airport. Everything will be taken care of at the Resort Check-In desk. If you're someone who doesn't want to worry about checking in when you get to the airport, then this is probably for you. As someone who travels solo, whether it's I'm having a solo trip or just meeting up with people down in Disney, it's not a big deal for me to take 5 minutes to go to a JetBlue kiosk and print out my boarding pass. I usually check in ahead of time on the app, and then I just handle that. If you're a big family and you find that it's just easier to have assistance and check in ahead of time, then this is definitely a service that you should utilize. So that is Disney's Resort Airline Check-In. It's pretty straightforward. If you have any questions, you can always ask people at that check-in desk. Again, it is either in the lobby or just outside, depending on your resort. If you have any questions about something at Disney and how it works, whether it's something like this, transportation, Magical Express, or any other sort of nuances or services that you aren't sure about, let me know in the comments below. I would love to answer them for you. If you liked this video, then like it. If you like me, you should subscribe. I'm putting out videos every single week. This week I am in Southeast Asia on my honeymoon, but when I return there will be lots of awesome vlogs, so you'll want to stick around for that. Thank you so much for watching another video. I always appreciate the time you spent with me, and I hope you guys have a great rest of the day. Bye.